Julie Murray from Sounds Like This. Welcome to the Sounds Like This podcast. Today I am joined by gorgeous artist Rebecca Abbey. Thank you so much for joining me today, Beck.
Thank you, Julie. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you so much.
I'm thrilled to have you here.
Thank you.
So I first met you in my children's classes years and years ago with your little one, who is now
15,
and a million feet tall.
Yep, absolutely. I was thinking about him. I was remembering when I think we were doing with your
parachute.
The big cut. He was there. Doing that.
We took some photos at some of the sessions, and I've got, I don't know how much of it is my individual memory, definitely of interactions with him, or how much of it is like prompted through those photos. But I remember playing with him and just the joy and the sparkly eyes and the everything that was so much just part of who he was as a person. It's so lovely.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can, after, watching you two together and all of that, I can see that relationship and that creativity, and it's just very much a part of how you are with your family and how they all work together.
Yeah.
So, a gorgeous thing. And he's still making music now and loving it. And
he is, He moved all around the place. After that, he did music lessons for a long time, moved into drums and guitar, and then recently, he's gone back to guitar, and he's not so much doing lessons or anything at the moment, just loving jamming himself and exploring. And I think definitely all the foundations laid down in journeying with you and all that sort of thing. He sort of definitely opened up that place where creativity and where exploring music wasn't just about the music, it was about so much more. And I can see, it's activated that heart side of it.
And that's really my biggest goal in everything that I do. It's not about making amazing, perfect, polished musicians to be X, Y, Z. It's about that creative process and the musical part of you being nurtured when they're little.
Definitely.
And then it's just part of what brings you joy in life. You can have that always. You set those foundations, and then it's just
woven through you. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So yay. All right.
Yeah.
So lovely that we've got that connection, and now that time has passed as well, and he's bigger and he's thriving and he's doing his thing, I want to talk to you today about your gorgeous creative processes though, and some of the gorgeous art that you create.
Yes.
So you're a local Peninsula artist.
I am, yep.
And you've got some exciting news about a gala and the art and design show for Mount Eliza. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Julie. Yeah, it's really, really exciting. I've sort of been, expanding a little bit in that space, with different community opportunities and things like that. I think, community is a really important aspect of my creative process, and it was a really exciting thing. I had a great experience at the Durinya Art Show this year, which is in Frankston South.
They do such a good job.
It's a fabulous art show to be part of.
Good.
Yeah, it was my first time being part of it this year, which was awesome. And when I was there, I got chatting to a few people and things like that. And then soon after, Mount Eliza Art and Design Show contacted me, and I had a few chats with them. And then they asked if I'd like to be the feature artist of this year's show. So it's such a, obviously the Mornington Peninsula is filled with so many extraordinary artists. So it's a super duper privilege to be part of it. And and to share my work in that space. So
gorgeous.
So
how did you get into making art for yourself, and how did you go from, okay, I'm going to make art for me, and now I'm going to be brave and put art out there? What was that process for you? Have you always been someone that's made visual?
Well, I guess
gorgeousness?
Zeke is a little bit woven through this, because when I was pregnant with Zeke, which was back in 2010, so up until that point, I was actually, I don't know if you know about this about me, but I was actually, I was a registered nurse.
No.
So I trained as a nurse, and I was a nurse for around about 12 years. And then when I was pregnant with Zeke, I was still nursing, and I started to when I was pregnant, something just started to shift within me. And it was definitely, I'd always been creative. I'd always enjoyed creativity. My mum's very creative, so I was raised in a visually creative, art creating home. But yeah, I'd sort of gone right away from it. And then, yeah, when I was pregnant with Zeke, I could just feel like a reactivation happening within me of perhaps a bit of a change in the direction I was going. And so it was after I'd had Zeke, a few years after I'd had Zeke, I started moving in different directions, working with colour and different bits and pieces. And then I went and studied colour. I went and studied design initially through the International Institute of Colour and Design. And then I went and studied colour design with them as well. So that sort of led me in the direction of colour and design. And for many years, I worked with builders on the Mornington Peninsula doing colour and design, like doing colour selections in the built environment. And then when I went through a really challenging time, which was my father's passing in COVID in 2020, it felt really natural for me in coming out of that, in working through my grief and working through that process, to colour and creativity were my sources of comfort. So it felt really natural to sort of comfort myself, I guess, through exploring creativity. And that's when I started to, one of my first paintings was a painting of my dad which I painted from a photograph, very different to my current style, but still quite abstract, was a painting of my dad down on Frankston Pier. And yeah, and that's sort of like, so I guess for me, it very much began as a personal catharsis. And then through keeping painting, keeping creating, being within that space and experiencing, I guess, the healing exchange that was happening for myself, it reached a point in time. I did put that piece into an art show, which was at Frankston Arts Centre. And then over the sort of years that went on after, I just began to feel and experience that, yeah, there was a healing exchange happening, which wasn't only for me. Other people were engaging with my creations and experiencing that as well. And then I guess it turned into something where I wanted to, that I think because it came from that basis and that energetic sort of development, it became something that it wasn't, I guess, easy to put out into the world, but it was still a real challenge to put it out in the world, but it almost felt vital. That part of the process was creating and then, yeah, putting it out in the world for people to interact with and have their energetic experience of too. Yeah.
It's really interesting. So no, I didn't know you were a registered nurse. So many of my clients, though, you know, when we find out about their current work or what, you know, the previous whatever, so many are in health, so many are in education, so many, and I wonder it's that those sorts of people that are interested in how brains and bodies work kind of gravitate to what we do.
Definitely, so definitely.
Creative people, but also like so very invested in the whole child, the whole experience, not just we're going to do X, Y, Z. Because someone on paper said it was a good idea, but actually we have experiences where we know creative processes and how you feel about yourself and how you explore the world around you and how you interact with things changes the way that we grow.
100%.
And it's amazing to hear your story just now. I'm so sorry to hear about your dad, and especially during COVID as well, because, you know, it wasn't an easy time for us to be able to process grief. Like societally, we've learnt to do that. And I imagine that would have been the case for you as well, like other mechanisms for being able to access things and be part of community. And
yeah, definitely. It was a really challenging time. It was also a time, I think, it was a very close time for our family, like you said, being very isolated from other community and things like that in a sense. Although in saying that, the community around us at the time were amazing in all the ways that they could be. But yeah, it did create that very much a closeness with my immediate family, with my mum and my sister and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I think it also required all of us, and certainly for myself, and I can feel that it's been a foundational aspect of my creative practice to tap into a source of strength within, which I think so often in life, those challenges and those really hard times have that other side to them where we tap into a source of strength within that.
There's a huge amount of growth that comes from going through hard stuff.
And
ride those waves.
Yeah.
And you just try to stay afloat. And
Yeah.
it might be more turbulent now, but there will be calmer seas ahead. But I think there's so much growth that happens with us, and a very hard time to do that, but also maybe a bit of a blessing in that with other things in the world being less pressure or less time, you actually had time to process. You actually had time to think, what am I going to do that's going to help me feel better, going to help me understand this, going to help me move forward, and giving yourself time to work that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because unfelt feelings is not a good thing.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I think that that's an amazingly beautiful and healthy outcome of grief.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah. And so it's a little bit like, it's always that connection with Dad, and even, the way that I create, I guess weaving my supportive and my spiritual practices through my creative process. Definitely there's lots of Dad woven through as well. So,
Sometimes when you're creating, do you think of him?
Yeah,
like, you can kind of, like, he's here with me doing whatever, like.
Definitely. And there's like, like I very much do, believe and explore in this space, but then so often life experiences reinforce it for me as well. There'll be something, which will just be a little moment or a little connection, a song that comes on when I'm creating or something like that. And I'll be like, yep, thanks, Dad. Yeah.
Oh, that's really lovely. I've got similar experiences with people I care about that aren't with me anymore, and I'm not religious. And I'm not particularly spiritual, except that I think that human connection is magical in a way
100%.
that feels like a spiritual experience to me, and it's a big motivator in a lot of the work that I do.
Yes.
In being 100% with someone in a moment, and it can be a fleeting moment, but true moments of connection and feeling seen, being completely understood. Really special, really special. And I've got a memory bank of experiences that a song will remind me of, or a smell, or
definitely.
One piece of rice in a bowl reminds me of my pop, because I have a strange one memory of sitting in their kitchen, and he's like, oh, I finished every last bit of rice. And I'm like, no, you didn't. There was a bit there, and it was a bit of something else. And I had rice left in my bowl. So now when I see a bowl with one piece of rice in it, I think of him. Every time I eat rice. Are you kidding me? But it's lovely to have those.
Yeah, and it's very much like you're saying, like those moments of human connection that actually become like woven, like totally part of you. And
those experiences change who you are. And I think, humans have that negativity bias that historically has kept us safe. We've evolved to, if someone implies there's a tiger, watch out for a tiger. Most of the time there's not, but you go into that high alert, whatever, and we have those practices that carry forward. But I think it's also really important that we focus on glimmers and we give ourselves joy, and we don't spend too much time deliberating all of the things in the world that could possibly go wrong.
Yes.
Most of the time they don't. Sometimes they do, but mostly it's pretty good. We're really lucky. And your life is what you make of it in terms of your perception. So
definitely. And
you wake up every day and say, I'm going to have a good day.
You are, you have far more chance. Absolutely. And the more I think you notice those moments and you lean into those moments, they multiply. The more moments you have. That's actually a really big thing in my creative process, and in, I guess, the eventuality of my work being shown and a viewer engaging with it, is almost like creating a moment like that. So for that moment of interaction with my work, it is, like obviously they're quite vibrant.
They're gorgeous.
Lots of colour used, but like lots of layered little messages and things that, so one person might connect into one part, one person might connect, but definitely trying to create, I guess not even trying, but like it being like an eventual part of the process to create those little moments where, it's almost like I read something the other day which was like, being a creative or almost like creating something joyful within this world we live in. It's almost like an act of rebellion,
Yes.
you know, creating a space within that. And it's so incredibly important, to create that opportunity for
Absolutely.
people and to see that in others as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. And again, there's parallels in what we do because of the layering, and you don't actually get to, you put what you make out in the world.
Yeah.
And then the way it's perceived is actually on the other person, isn't it? Like
Totally.
what their previous experiences are going to bring to that, or what they need to, consciously or not, have come to their attention in that moment or dig into. And I love art for that reason, in that you are experiencing it as the you that you are right now in this moment.
Yeah.
And next week you'll be a different you because you've had more experiences or different experiences, or your perspective on the day is different, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think in your gorgeous works, part of what I love about them is that layering. And, you know, when you look at them and you're thinking about, you know, I'm stuck in traffic with this, blah, 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 and like, okay, that part, what brings my attention here is like, I've been sitting outside in the sun with my toes feeling warm. But now I'm getting something else from this same piece of art. And so you've created something that is meaningful for you and layered and your experience, but then the way that it's perceived is actually the process of the viewer, you know? So there's the process of the artist in the creating something, and then the bravery of putting that out in the world to
Definitely.
be witnessed.
Yep, absolutely.
And then what somebody else
receives
and takes on
Yeah.
and feels from it, and the way they're forever changed in it after interacting with it. And it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Thanks, art.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's a reward like no other, and also to like an expansive, like you said, also brave, but like an expansive experience like no other. I think that I've come to know, like, I guess if I look at my creative process, a really important part for me, and obviously like a super exciting part of it, is when people connect with a piece so much so that they want to take it into their space, that they want it to be part of their everyday life. Like you said, interacting with it in all their different changing ways of being. It's a really important part, that eventual end point of the creative process when someone does choose for my work to go into their space. I think I had an experience recently where some really close friends, actually some friends from nursing, a doctor and a nurse, I recently had an exhibition at Frankston Arts Centre, which I realised as the outcome of a Frankston City Council Artist Project grant. So that was a really exciting achievement to have this year, or a really exciting opportunity to receive that grant.
Great opportunity, but also vitally important.
Yes.
That from a governance level, whatever level of governance, that we celebrate art, that we continue to prioritise money spent in art.
Definitely.
Because it's not just a piece of art right now in this moment. It has huge impact for our mental well-being, for experiences going forward, for so many things, for connection, for all of it. And so
definitely
we go, art is XYZ and it's frivolous and it's an added extra, and it's not.
No.
It is fundamental. And so I like my little social justice, whatever, but I really believe that investing in the arts individually, if we can, great. But from a governance level, you know, it should be part of what we celebrate and make sure that we cannot disrupt these programs existing. So I'm thrilled that you were awarded
and so often it's wonderful, like you get to see so many people, like you're saying, with so many different creative concepts, you know, like either it being, you know, like whatever their passion point is, are able to put forward what they believe in creatively with the support of these grants and put it out into the community. My project was called Community Hearts, and it was all about how beneficial the arts are. It was really spoke to this for community engagement, and when the community engage with art, how beneficial it is, but also to one of the themes that was explored through it was, as artists, finding our community And even in moments like this, you know, like from all different aspects of creativity, finding moments of connection are so important. So that was a very much a theme that was woven through the exhibition. But like I said, as part of it, I had some beautiful friends come down and they actually bought 2 pieces from the exhibition, which was super duper exciting. But the even more exciting part of it was I went to a party at their house, and going into their home, when I arrived, we had a little chat, and then they were like, come, look where your paintings are in our house.
We're celebrating your work.
Yeah, and not only that, but just that feeling of what had spoken to them in the works and where they sat within their home and their family's engagement with the works and all that sort of thing. It was just,
it's
really,
huge.
Yeah,
it's huge. And it's not about the impact that it makes right now in this moment. There's ripples that go out with everything that we do, everything that we touch.
Yes.
And so you've created something that makes people feel like X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And then what does that do for their creativity? What does that do for their problem solving? What does that do for their perspective on whatever situations? Like the ripples just continue and continue. And I don't think you can quantify it. And so I think it's really, really important that we have discussions societally about the effects of art. Not just as a thing that we celebrate right now in this moment, performative, whether it's an exhibition or whatever, a performance on a stage, and therefore that's the thing right now that we're celebrating. Then we just move along with all of the other things that are what we have to do in life. It's like, no, this is fundamental to the human experience. And we know that, you know, people have been making pictures, singing songs, sharing stories, connecting with each other through creative practices forever. Our voices and our physical anatomy evolved to do that. Our processing, all of our message processing happens through musical processing, not speech processing first and foremost. And so it's like, this is part of humans. We need to make sure it stays part of humans. And we can only do that by spending money on it, by understanding how fundamental it is to human experiences, and that it's not just one thing, it's this ripply everything forever. And, you know, I said that very poorly. But you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's really important.
And through foundational work like what you do, you know, like engaging from when people are very tiny and having that be something where that desire for creativity and the understanding of the importance of it for enrichment of their human experience and their, like you said, their physicality. It's so important. So
I love what you said before, and it's very telling, I think. So you said that you grew up in a creative home, that it was normalised, that these are things that we do. So you have a history of seeing we create stuff. That's just part of what we do. You've seen other people be vulnerable and do that for themselves, but you've also had it normalised for yourself. And the language, I'm hoping, around that was like, give it a go. It's very much the same with what I do as well. And when we work with the little people classes, so much of it is like, what will my 1-year-old do? Your 1-year-old won't do much of anything. But what I can show you is what you can do with your 1-year-old to build that connection and create that environment where we normalise, we do this thing. And therefore they're growing up in an environment which has that talk around, we do creative things. We do something a little bit tricky that we can suck at for ages and get incrementally better at. And that growth mindset in creativity, in physicality, in all learning, in, you know, problem solving, in everything that we do is so important.
100%. It's a little bit like it's ripple. It goes out into every facet of life. I love it. Gorgeous.
So tell me about this amazing piece.
This piece is called And the Moon Whispered. And it is, arches often feature as part of my art practice. And it's really, I think so much of, for so many, the creative process is a journey. But definitely for myself, my creative process has definitely been a journey. And so I think the arch creates a space where we can definitely go into it, explore, and it's obviously where lots of the layers are within this piece, but then it's also contained within this environment, which I guess creates an aspect of safety and also a softness coming into that space. But yeah, this piece is very much so the message coming, the literal sort of message through it is, and the moon whispered, the whole universe is yours, heart and soul. So like I said, very much I find that a big part of my creative process is I weave through, often I meditate as part of my creative process, and I really explore that space of just letting the message that wants to come out come through and be part of the work. So
that's really gorgeous. So it's not forced, it's you just let your thoughts be, and you let yourself breathe, and you let yourself sort of sink into what it's going to become without pushing, just experiencing it.
Yeah. With this particular one, so what I find is I tend to start from a point, sometimes it's fully intuitive. So some of my smaller pieces that I've got here are like a fully intuitive, I've just allowed it to like really pour out with just the way that I've used colour and all those sorts of things. This piece is called Spread Our Wings. With the little let's fly message there. But yeah, this piece, sometimes I'll also begin with a colour palette. So for this piece, I sort of had very much this type of colour palette in mind, and bringing through some sorts of different messages through those colours as well. And also I use a lot of symbolism as well. So different symbols which sometimes have a bit of a literal meaning, but then sometimes it's almost more a little bit like a language which is just sort of flowing through me as well. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much. Can you talk to me about how your colour theory and what you've done like in a business experience, like you used to work with builders. That's a very different vibe.
Yes,
you know.
Yeah.
But your understanding of how colour theory impacts the choices that you make. Because quite often with your pieces, you've got pastels and then something quite vibrant, and you use blacks but sparingly often, and a combination of something quite soft, something quite feminine often, and then something really bold and powerful as well. And I love that. Not to say that that's not feminine as well, but for me, often when I'm looking at your works, I feel like, it's just like expressing different parts of how people are. Like you don't have to be always a loud, vibrant, outgoing something or other. You don't have to always be this shy little flower of a thing. Like you can be both. Both of these things can coexist. You can be nuanced. You can, it's,
definitely.
For me, your colour kind of does that to me, thinking about how people interact in the world as well.
Absolutely. And that's, I guess, the impact of colour. Colour has that ability to do that. For me, I guess now in my creative process, it almost like it's quite intuitive. So sometimes, like I said, I'll start with a colour palette and I'll have like quite an intention behind. I guess I wanted to use this soft lilac because it spoke to me almost like of the divine, definitely like I guess a little bit of a spiritually explorative landing place, which was the surround of the work. But it's, like I said, for me now, it's sort of like a bit of an intuitive aspect of it, but I do think that's the power of colour. Colour has such a powerful impact on us and on the way we engage and we be within the world. Something, I guess, when you were saying like with the bit coming from the building and moving into this, how I sort of made that crossover was, although when I was very fortunate to do my studies, I think I said something different before, but it's actually the International School of Colour and Design. So I was really, really super fortunate. It was a Sydney-based school, and when soon after I'd had Zeke and I decided I wanted to study in this space, I was really, really lucky. They decided to launch a Melbourne campus. So I got to be one of the first students on Burke Street in the International School of Colour and Design doing my design course with them. So as much as it was a design course, they were also very colour focused, but also very looking at it from, we looked at artists, we looked at all different things in the foundations of the study. So it gave me that idea, that a bit more enrichment in that space from the outset, which I didn't know that I'd come to use very much at the time. I thought I was studying it to go into work with builders, to do something in that colour selection space. But when I was working with the builder, I was working with a particular client, and there'd been some challenges in their space, and it was probably in that selections process that we started to bring in greys into the home that very much had sort of green undertones. And the reason, it was happening quite organically, but there was also some intention in the process, and it was very much around this particular person who was coming to live in this space really did need some support and need some healing at that time. And the therapeutic nature of green, as we all experience when we go out into nature, it was almost like that was being woven through the selection process. And following that client and observing the way that process was supportive to them, that sort of activated for me the idea of going in that colour direction. And then I actually went and studied colour therapy from that. So it's very much an aspect of my practice is to look at the nature of colour from a therapeutic process. And like you said, the ability for it to create within us strength, vulnerability, all those different things. Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that. I am a much nicer human if I spend some time with my hands in the dirt.
Yes. Honestly,
if I'm frazzled, if I'm stressed, if I'm whatever, literally hands in the dirt, faffing with my garden with greenery, having things growing around me affects my mood. And I know that they help with oxygen and all of that sort of stuff. And you know what? With the number of plants, mine probably do help with
yeah.
But I think it really impacts you to bring nature into your world, to bring organic things into your world, to create environments that help you feel a certain way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And lighting does the same thing. Like
it does.
The way eyes and brains perceive spaces.
100%. Yeah, it has a real ability. And then, I guess for me now, the idea of my works coming into people's spaces is another layer to that as well. Yeah.
Amazing. So can you tell me about this gorgeous piece?
Yeah. This is a new thing that I'm exploring, working with the acrylic frames. So this is my second series of works that I've put into the acrylic frames, and I think
it's so fun.
And when you work, when you create in a sense of exploring, sharing energy through your works, very much as I do, it's like the frame becomes a very important intention in that as well, like an extension of the piece. So surrounding this, this is a painting that I think I created, and it fairly well found its home straight away. But it's been I've since made it into a print, and it's been one of my really popular prints to put out into the world. I think it's sort of the message that comes through it speaks a little bit to what we've been speaking about, that creating space for yourself and saying to yourself, you are worth it. You're worth doing this for. A little bit like we even spoke about earlier with you, with setting aside the time to look after your physical person. So that message of being worth it is woven through this little piece. And again, like you were saying, this is something I also like to work with, the gold foil, like creating reflective elements, almost like little moments of mirroring within the work as well, to create a little bit more exploration. And
gorgeous. So beautiful. So when you first started 10 years ago, 15 years ago-ish.
Yes, yep.
First started this, I'm going to do this. What did that look like for you? How did you set time? How did you protect time for yourself to do that? Because I think lots of people are like, one day I'll X, Y, Z. But one day never comes.
Yeah.
Today comes.
Yes.
You can plan for tomorrow, like how do you actually just jump in and do it?
I think it is, it's a little bit like that saying you are worth it, like creating that space within and I think sometimes too, when it's something which you feel very strongly about, it can often be that driving force to encourage you to create that space within your world. Also to, I guess, like with what you do as well, like it's like knowing how important the being within that space is going to be to put out into the world for others as well. Yeah.
For me, in terms of my business and doing this thing, I was seeing, so my experience was, it's interesting, the kind of parallels. My son was a catalyst for me starting the thing, but I had some musical experiences as a child. I learned to play the flute, but I'd been playing for a few years and I got to VCE level. And I got a new teacher and I had to unlearn a lot of what I'd learned. And I thought, this is not fair. Like, my parents worked multiple jobs and did everything they could to set me up to be able to do this thing that I loved to do. But still, I had to go back and unlearn these things. And it was because there wasn't the know-how around it. There wasn't the authority on it that, we just thought we were getting the best that we could get. But it turns out I was getting incorrect technique that I had to unlearn and go back for. And I was like, that's actually not okay. That social justice thing. I'm like, that's not okay. They worked really hard. They tried to give me these amazing experiences and they did give me wonderful experiences, but then it shouldn't have been I've unlearned and whatever. And I'm like, oh, there's no rules to be a music teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, you can just say X, Y, Z, but you don't have to have these qualifications. You don't have to have this experience. I'm like, that's not okay. And then when I had my son and learnt so much more, because he's neurosparkly loveliness, but presented very differently to other newborns, I'm like, something's going on here. And learnt so much more about his developing brain. And then it became very apparent very quickly that the music making is so incredibly amazing for all growing brains. I'm like, oh, the thing that I do and love is the thing that's most impactful. What?
Yeah.
And so then went and studied more and learnt more, because I was just like, if I'm going to do this, and I want to do the best that I can. I don't want to think, oh, I didn't put the best thing together that I could. I wanted to do the very best that I could, because I think children are worth it. I think humans are worth it.
Definitely.
I think our experiences are worth it. And good foundations are really important.
Yes.
And I think the way we speak to ourselves is really important. And I think that that's intergenerational. The way we speak to ourselves as mothers matters. The way we speak to our children matters. The way our parents speak to us matters. What they say to our children matters. What society says to our children matters, because we internalize all of those thoughts and it turns us into the type of person we will grow into through our adulthood and whatever. And childhood is such a small window, but it's really important.
Impact 100%.
Really impactful. And it's, if you're going to be a creative person, hopefully everyone will want to be a creative person. I think people are innately creative till we squash it. Or we don't support it, or we don't celebrate it. So that's how I got into that. And it's really interesting hearing that your son was like, oh, I need to prioritize this time for myself. Because my son was like, I need to prioritize the learning about it so I can do more to support him and for children. So I deliver, these programs first and foremost in Frankston. I did a feasibility study and everything said, don't set up your business in Frankston. And I was like, what? No, I want my children's peers to have these experiences. And so I did. I set it up in Frankston, even though financially all of the things said don't do that. But I'm like, no. This community should have this. We should have this.
100%.
And I think it's really important to make the things you want to see in the world, even if that feels vulnerable.
100%.
So I love that you do that.
And like you said, and you're saying in Frankston, like I think sharing it within your local community as well. Having it be part of seeing the effects of it ripple out around you.
I love Frankston. I love the Monash Peninsula. I love it. It's great. And we've got that perspective of your experience as well, and that negativity bias. But my experience is meeting so many beautiful parents, meeting so many gorgeous children, being able to interact and play with them and help them connect with each other. And, that's my truth. I love our community.
Absolutely. I love, I think we reconnected spotting each other where I work, on Carilla Road there. And I think something I love about I spend my Thursdays and Fridays there in Herbert's Corner store, and it's
Love it.
yeah, and it's really fun to be within that space. And again, it's such a colourful space, but at the same time, you and I started speaking. You came in and we reconnected in that space, and I just think I have so many great. I don't know if it's the influence of the environment, which is super colourful and filled with lots of things that create curiosity.
Joyful.
Yeah, and spark those type of conversations. But I have so many great conversations. Yeah, not only community connection, but like you were saying before, like moments that are really special in that space. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So just before we finish up, can you please tell us about the gorgeous dates coming up with the Mount Eliza Art and Design Show?
Yep, absolutely.
As well as the gala.
Yep, for sure. So the Mount Eliza Art and Design Show, it's coming up at the end of this month. So it's on the weekend of the 24th to 26th of October. And it begins on the Friday night with a gala opening night, which is at 7 p.m, which is quite exciting. I'm really excited to be there on the night, and I'll try and be at the exhibition, at the show for the entirety of the weekend if I can, as much as possible. But the gala opening night, there's lots of cool things. Obviously, it's a fundraising endeavour for the Mount Eliza North Primary School.
Great.
But it's also a really fantastic celebration of art and design across the Mornington Peninsula as well. There's so much great art and sculpture and wonderful stuff in the shop as well. So it's a great weekend to get along to. And I think you can still buy early. I think there's still early bird price as well. You can still buy tickets at the moment to the gala opening night on the Friday night through the Mount Eliza Art and Design website.
Great.
As well.
We'll share the information with that. And we'll share the information for your gorgeous pieces and you as an artist as well, so that our listeners and viewers can check you out.
Beautiful.
Do you ship things?
I can, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know I've got one of your gorgeous pieces, but I bought that in person and it brings me joy. It's so very lovely to be part of my world. But if we've got some information about that, we'll pop it all together and let people know. That'd be really great.
Definitely, I just had a commission piece make its way up to Queensland. So I also work in the commission space.
Right.
Yeah, where we can sort of work around developing colour concepts and, ideas. Sometimes people will come to me because they've been drawn to another piece of mine that might have already found its home, which was the case in that work. But so that's
gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing some of your process with me and for sharing what it is to be a creative woman.
Yeah.
And celebrate your art and the process, and for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being with us.
I'm so grateful for you having me, Julie, and to reconnect on here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.